Mi gente, thank you so much for tuning into this week's real estate talk show, Homebuying 101, with Sebastian Cordoba, Mr. Clear to Close. Guys, very excited about this week's episode because we have very important information. We're gonna be talking about how the real estate market is right now, right? Is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? Should you be buying or should you be selling? But more importantly, I'm very excited because we have two very special guests. We have a husband and wife team from EXP, and they're gonna be answering all the different questions that all of you listeners sent out. So you guys, you cannot miss this. Please stay tuned. Guys, so without further ado, please, a big round of applause. Take out the horns, beat them horns, because I'm very excited about having William Vaquerano and we have Veronica Lujan, husband and wife team from EXP Realty, guys. So thank you so much for coming.
Happy Thursday. We're excited to be here.
We're excited to be here. Thank you so much, Sebas.
Mr. Clear to Close.
Yes, thank you, guys. And thank you so much for tuning in, guys, and coming here, right? So very important. So I want to make sure that everybody has a good knowledge and understands a little bit about you guys, right? So what do you guys do? How long have you guys been in the business? Tell me a little bit about you guys.
Of course. Well, we've been in the business for about 10 years, and we've been doing real estate full time for about 9 years, I think. We run a team of about 50 plus agents, and we honestly love helping buyers and sellers out there. It's our passion, truly our passion. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be answering all these questions and educating the community. So
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
We met in real estate.
Okay.
At an open house.
All right.
Funny enough, I listed a house and she listed a house on the same street.
Okay.
I finished my open house and walked over, and that's how we met in real estate.
Get out of here. So let's just recap here, because what we're saying is we have a husband and wife team who are solid. They're producing their top agents, but the most beautiful piece is there's love and there's foundation that you guys have built. So tell me a little bit, I guess, about that. How neat is it for you to be able to work with each other, kind of be able to help each other grow to the next level and get that business on the same page?
I always say that I'm a lucky guy to have met her. We have similar passions, right? We have a family now, beautiful family, and we're growing as individuals, but also in our business and in our life.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I think we're blessed that we found each other in real estate, and we both enjoy it as much as we do. And like I said, our goals align, and we have pretty big goals to reach, so we're excited.
And we never fight. We never argue.
No, that's the secret.
You just agree to everything your wife says, you say yes, and you should be fine.
We do see a lot of each other,
Okay.
but communication and mentors, they help us along the way. I mean,
There you
a lot of people only see the good part of it, but there is bumpy roads there that we have to get mentored through.
Yes,
That's beautiful.
definitely.
That's beautiful. So this is a strong relationship, and I think that most importantly, what I'm getting out of this is when you have a client in front of you, now you're treating them like family. I mean, you guys are working like a team, so I think that's what's kind of helping you guys get to the next level, right? So thank you so much. So what I definitely want to get into is all these different questions that we have from all these special listeners, right? And I want to get going with the number one question that I have here, right? So aside from the actual questions I have that I'm gonna read, how do you guys see the market right now? What's going on? Do you guys see any effects that the interest rates have had? How's the inventory? Please talk to us.
Well, it's a great market. I feel like he was just talking to a client this morning about this specifically. Yes, their interest rates have gone up, and that has affected the market, obviously. But there has been lack of inventory as well. So a lot of sellers are like, is this a good time to sell? We always say the time to sell is when you're ready, right? Okay. But there is a lack of inventory that is causing, competition for buyers as well. But at the same time, there is some great programs out there. I know you have some amazing programs for buyers, first-time home buyers.
Yes.
They could be affordable to buy and still secure that property.
Awesome.
So.
Awesome.
And it's natural to talk about whatever the media out there is promoting, because fear sells more. And the fear is the sky is falling. The interest rates are so high that everybody's staying back, the economy, this and that. But I think if you as a buyer or just as a person just educate yourself, right? Your situation is different than everybody else. If you know the numbers, if you sit down and just just think it through.
Yeah.
You're going to be a lot more comfortable with your situation and buying a home or whatever it is, right?
Exactly.
So just educate yourself, basically. Yeah.
I love it, and especially when I have a client ask me the same question, I always reply is, if you have that opportunity, if you have that window of opportunity, take advantage of it, right? Because we don't know how much harder it's going to be for us to be able to lend to you guys in the future, right? If financially per month it makes sense and you guys are getting put into a better position, absolutely, it's better off to pay your own mortgage instead of somebody else's mortgage, right?
100%.
So, awesome. So, ideally the spring market's coming up. We're at a market right now where how are you guys seeing it? I mean, are you guys already seeing kind of an influx of clients asking to get pre-approved or people looking or maybe selling? Kind of what are you guys seeing early spring market, please?
Well, we just happened to list a property where we had this last weekend that it was, I don't know, -6 degrees out there. And we were like, we're not going to get much traffic. Well, the opposite. We got, 70 parties come through this weekend to this open house. So people are still
with
in
hand
the
warmers.
need. Yeah, hand warmers. We have, a box of Joe there, giving it to our client, to everybody who walked through the house. So there is demand, right? Like everybody, like you say, they're paying someone else's mortgage. So people know that. So we're starting to see things pick up, even though it's the winter time still. Like we still see a lot of people come out and still visit these open houses.
And this is normal too, right? Because of this time from where we are. And we always say to these sellers at this moment that the most serious buyers are out here. If they're going to get out of their home and shovel to get into a car to go see a home on Saturday or Sunday, and it's cold out, freezing, they're motivated. Oh yeah. Right? So for a seller, they're going to have less competition, and they're going to be advertising to the motivated buyers.
Okay.
That's right.
Okay, awesome. And so I think a little bit about, this common question that I keep hearing from buyers is the market going to crash? Should I wait? Should I time the market, right? And at least, going back to that same topic is if you have the opportunity, take advantage. Like we saw, an influx of interest rates now brings your debt to income ratio higher, bringing your purchasing power lower. So now you're not as competitive compared to other buyers in the market, right? So have you seen that? I mean, did you see any change in the inventory due to the interest rates or any correlation to that you guys maybe saw out there?
Definitely. Yeah. Like every listing we had out there last year, we were getting 10 plus offers. Like now this time, even that property that we just listed, we got 3 offers.
Wow.
That's it. And we had 70 parties come through. So people are I feel like buyers are more cautious because, their mortgage payment is high for that price point versus like 6 months ago. But
yes.
So there has been a change, definitely. Yeah. We've noticed that.
Yeah, as an agent, we just have to make sure. Before in the past, you could have just put a number on there and it was going over asking. It didn't matter, right? But now it's even more important. Just to make sure that you know your competition and what the market's doing. It affected the inventory, of course, right? But there's still motivated buyers out there for sure.
Awesome. And Will, Veronica, again, thank you, because I think the next piece is definitely important on if you're out there competing with a lot of other buyers and you're out there actively searching and putting in offers. I think something that you guys are talking about is how important is it to have a solid team. To understand the market you're looking in and making sure your offer is competitive, right? Or maybe find you an off-market property. Is that something that you guys like to work off within a team? How do you guys kind of collaborate off each other?
Well, I think, we follow certain, like we're working with at least 10 buyers right now. Nice. And I always tell them, look, be the first one to see the house if it's possible. Obviously, run the numbers with your lender so you could see different scenarios where you could probably offer a little bit more and secure the home. Also, maybe do a pre-inspection before you make an offer, pay a home inspector to pre-inspect the house so you could waive the home inspection contingency. Okay. You could also write a nice letter to the sellers, just letting them know who you are, who your family, what the intentions are. That has gotten us a lot of offers accepted, believe it or not. Okay. And then just maybe do tighter dates, like maybe quick closing, 30 days, 40 days. That always helps if the seller is looking to move out quickly. So I think those are some of the things that we use, the strategies that we use to try to secure that offer.
Awesome.
The other thing to also think about, and this is for the agent as well as the buyer, right, when they're working as a team, is looking at it through the viewpoint of a seller now, right? So for instance, we had 3 offers on that property in Peabody, and the top 2 offers were in contention. They were basically the same. Okay. The only difference, the major difference, I should say, not the only difference, the major difference is the agent was communicating with us almost every other day. Very in touch with us.
Following up and always on top. Okay.
And that gave us the vote of confidence that this person is going to be great throughout the whole process. So it's super important just connecting with that agent, because that can make or break the deal. And also finding out what the seller is looking for. If it's a very hot property that everybody's looking to get, great, let's find out about that seller. What are their timelines?
Yeah.
What's important to them? Before we submit an offer, let's find out more of how we could tailor our offer and align with that seller's needs. Right?
Powerful.
Super important.
Powerful, powerful, guys. So I hope you guys are all taking notes, because this is very important information, guys. So, kind of to veer off, because this is awesome, and please subscribe, follow us. This is awesome. And let's go to some of the questions that we have from our listeners, right?
Okay.
So the first question I have is, what factors should sellers consider before selling their home?
So I think, one of the things we do when we meet with some of our sellers is we go through the house. We make a list of recommendations. We try to keep it where they're not going to spend a ton of money. So we go and make a list of things that we could point out that, like moving furniture. Like we sometimes bring one of us stagers to do a walkthrough of the property, just to kind of move things around so the house is more welcoming when you have buyers coming through. Also, if the house needs a little bit of paint goes a long way. So we recommend we had a seller that had 7 different colors in the house. So we're like, let's just make it neutral and make it very, welcoming for those buyers to come in. Also, we liked curb appeal, right? Like, so even if it's a little cold out there, put some flowers outside, make it welcoming for those people that are coming to see it. What else can you think of?
So we just sold a house and we bought a new one. It's our second time doing this.
Congratulations, by the way.
And what we had to do first is identify what type of house we wanted to get into, right? So as long as we're on the same page of and it was whatever she wanted, right? That was
Happy life, right?
You got it. Very easy. So once we got that out of the way, right? Now it's prepping your home, and we always like to say, okay, when meeting with a seller and knowing where to price it and how to put the house together, it's looking at 3 different buckets. It's looking at the past, what happened in the past, meaning solds. We're going to look at the last 6 months of sales. And that's through the viewpoint of an appraiser. And then we're going to look at current, what's under agreement in the last 14 days. That's going to give us a story of what's happening now in the market. And in the future, what's competing against us? What's our competition? And within those 3 buckets, we're going to be able to see every property within that very closely. This is what happened in this type of property, this condition. And you're going to be able to align your property in those different areas. And you're going to know exactly where to be for a list price and a sales price.
Amazing.
Timelines and offers. And you could find out even information with the under agreements, what kind of activity those agents had, right? Multiple offers, how many people you had at the open house. A lot of information could be gathered before you even put your home on the market if you're looking for it, right?
Thank you. So awesome answers. I appreciate it. Next question that we have is, as an agent, what marketing methods do you use to ensure your client's home is receiving the most exposure at all time to sell?
So great question. So it kind of ties up to what he was talking about, making sure to set those expectations where they should be with the seller. So one of the things we like to do is we're very connected with social media. Like I feel like a lot of those buyers might come from social media, so we make sure that we promote the property in every channel out there. So from Craigslist, even Craigslist, believe it or not.
It works, bro.
Yeah, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all those social media channels. We have a team that helps us with that marketing piece of it. But we also do cold calling. Like we promote the property. Let's say the property is listed on 123 Main Street in Marlboro, for example. We're going to make sure that we circle prospect in the whole area just to make sure that everybody who sees a for sale sign in front of a yard knows that that property is coming on the market. So you might think the for sale sign is going to get you a lot of traffic, but it might just be the people that drive by in front of the property. So making sure that you prospect around it is very, very important.
Wow.
And past success also helps us create a marketing plan of action that works, right? So our mentors in real estate from our second year in real estate have taught us, and they keep up with trends, so we learn from them as well, what's working, what's not working, and we implement, and we take out, and then we adjust of what we do, right? But we know exactly what to do. Once the seller says go, we already have a plan in action, right? Timelines and everything else, from professional photography to staging to cleaning, and then marketing. That's a 10-day blitz of what happens. We don't want to leave any stone unturned, meaning At the open house this past weekend, we had 70 buyers show up. One of the buyers said, yeah, I found your open house signs. And they were looking, right? So we don't want to we don't want to skip a step and then fear that, that one step could have meant that one offer. And we only had 3 out of 70. So imagine every little thing adds up.
Wow.
Wow.
Basically looking for every opportunity out there and making sure you're reaching out. So I love it, guys. And please take notes because this is valuable, guys. And so the next question that I have, and I'm very excited because it just keeps getting better, right? So for buyers in the beginning of the home buying process, and now we're shifting over to a buyer's question, right? Right now, at least for a buying process, do you have any advice on the current market, right? So for buyers in the buying process, do you have any advice for them right now in the current market?
Well, I shared something yesterday in my social media about how to get ready to start buying your home. Because buyers sometimes tend to think, I'm going to go and see a bunch of homes, and then I'll get pre-approved, and then I'll talk to an agent, and then I'll, kind of skipping steps. So our advice is always, come up with a budget in your mind. Okay, let's say $3,500. That's how much I'm willing to spend. It's comfortable for me and my family. Then talk to a lender. Talk to somebody who's going to be running your numbers, making sure that your budget fits your family needs. And then hire an agent. Interview an agent. We have a series of questions that we usually send to our buyers to ask, if they're interviewing agents, so they know exactly that a person is going to be the right person to help them. And then, obviously do the research on the property. Once you find properties, one thing that we do sometimes, especially multifamilies, is we might go to the city hall, pull the jacket of the property just to make sure that everything is done correctly. And then just negotiate the process, your offer, your home inspection, and then celebrate and close.
Wow. It seemed like I go afterwards, so I could think of all what I have to say afterwards, right?
I know, he's got an advantage here.
Just waiting here, nice and quiet.
Taking notes of what to say.
You little ladies first, right? So, have a vision of what your next home would look like, right? And then have a game plan. Let's meet with our team. What is a team? Find out what's a team, right? For some people, it might be the lender first. For some people, it might be the CPA first, or whatever it is. Just have it, know your numbers, exactly what you're looking for, and then look at your personal finances. Me and her know exactly what our personal finances is, right? And then eventually, it comes time to crunching the numbers down. You might have to make some sacrifices here, right? Like we were just talking about cable, how much people pay for cable.
Yep.
We only pay $80 a month, right? Some people are paying $300. So you might have to sacrifice here in order to get exactly what you're looking for here. And the other thing I would highly recommend is not trying to hit a grand slam off of the first home that you buy. Okay. It could be a gradual thing. You could move into something as a starter home. I highly recommend that, right? Because you learn a lot about the property and the buying process and real estate ownership. And then you could carry that equity and that everything that you've built up over to the next house. And that's the beautiful thing about real estate.
Amazing. And then bring that experience to the next home, like you're saying, and continue to grow from that. That's amazing. And advice coming from my piece of it is definitely, take care of the 4 factors that we look at for a pre-approval. It's the credit score, it's the employment history, it's the income, it's the down payment. And then we also look at the collateral, the property, which you guys go out there and search and help the client look for, right? So, another big hot topic that I'm coming across, or maybe some mistakes I'm coming across, is self-employed borrowers, right? So, they have a double-edged sword, right? They declare too much income. They're going to qualify for a nice amount of home, but they're going to have to pay some tax, right? So, very important for them to work with a good loan officer, with a good CPA and accountant to understand and making sure that they're preparing themselves to be able to buy a home this year.
That's right.
So, love the answers, guys. The next question that we have is, the biggest subject in real estate right now, okay, is interest rates. So is this still a good time to buy?
Well, that's an easy one, right? Because we're buying.
That's like the elephant in the room, right? This giant elephant called interest rates. So I think you mentioned it earlier in the interview where, like, if their opportunity is there, go after it. Because you could always refinance. There is not such a thing as you're locked with this rate for the rest of your life. The 30-year mortgage that you lock, you could always refinance. I remember when we bought our first home together, we refinanced twice, and we only owned it for 2 years. And then we sold it, and we had all this equity, like profit, that we reinvested. So buy if there is the right opportunity, and then reinvest down or refinance. when you are able to.
And it's very common for first-time home buyers or even second-time home buyers to even feel like they might be overpaying or it costs too much monthly. But it's funny how we follow up with our clients year after year, and they say to us, and it's very normal, they say, I wish I did it sooner. I wish I did it sooner.
Yep.
Right? We're buying another investment property. It would be our third one here. Right now, we literally just got an offer accepted.
Congratulations.
But the numbers made sense for us to buy it. Right? So for like, just to echo what she's saying here, if it makes sense to you, then yeah, take a leap of faith, right? And then you can refinance later.
Exactly, because you're building equity over time, and in the future now what you're thinking is, okay, well, if I'm comfortable with this monthly payment now at this interest rate, that's worst case. I mean, from there it can only get better. Right? So we can refinance in the future, build enough equity, kick out that PMI if you haven't put 20% down, right? So love the answers, guys, and I'm very excited about this next question. So we have, why buy now? Kind of going off of this, the market is crazy. Why buy now?
Well, I think because there is opportunities out there. Like he mentioned, we just bought a house, and it's going to be a flip, obviously, but we're going to be able to kind of catapult from this into a bigger investment down the road, I don't know, 6 months from now that we earned some money on this specific flip. So, like, for example, if you're buying a multifamily as your first time purchase, then you could buy, another property with still lower down payment down the line. So, I mean, opportunities are everywhere. And I tell all of my buyers, because I'm working with somebody specifically right now where his budget is at a certain point, like $900,000. And I said to him, look, let's look at properties that are listed at $950 and have been sitting on the market for 30 plus days. Because that's an opportunity right there. Like, that seller is still motivated enough to have that property on the market, first of all. And second of all, like, you could come in, make a really clean offer at the price point that you're comfortable with and get it. There is a higher chance that you could get it. So opportunities. Always be open for opportunities.
And the nice thing about the current, where the market is right now, is let's back up a little bit. When the interest rates were great, it wasn't uncommon for sellers to receive 30, 40 offers, $50, $60, $1,000 above asking. In this market, maybe it's going over 10, 15.
Okay.
In some cases, it was going even less than asking price, and you could ask for concessions. You could ask for things that 6, 8 months ago, your offer wouldn't even be considered, not even looked at, right? So this is a big opportunity for buyers right now. Just know that there is pockets here, and if you're not finding anything where you're looking, maybe you just got to look over the next town over. There's opportunities everywhere.
I love it. It's almost like Warren Buffett said. It's like when everybody's running one way, well, kind of take a look at why everybody's running, and there's opportunities out there. You got it. Right? There's always opportunities that way, right? So love the answers, guys. The next question we have is, all right, and we're kind of already touched a little bit on this, but what pitfalls or what other mistakes should buyers or sellers, let's kind of combine both of them, avoid in the home buying process?
Well, I think you would agree with me on this one for buyers. Like, don't go and buy a set of new furniture in the middle of financing.
Please. No, open up Jordan's Furniture credit card.
I know, like, oh my God, quit your job in the middle of the transaction. This happened to me. This is a true story. She quit her job, and she's like, I didn't need that part-time job, and then she disqualified herself. So don't quit your job. Don't go and make any large purchases. Don't deposit any large amount of money in your bank account that you don't know where it came from.
Yep.
So I think those are things for buyers to avoid. For sellers, I think it's, just don't make any drastic changes in your house throughout the process if you're under agreement or anything like that. When you sell the property, make sure that everything is removed from the property so you don't get into any weird situation with the buying side, and it just gets kind of crazy after that. What else?
You nailed it.
You did.
Yeah, that was
phenomenal.
That was good. I mean, come on, it could have been better.
I'm just here sitting looking pretty.
I'm like, taking notes.
Where's my water?
But and you know what? It's kind of piggyback off of what you said is, a common mistake, let's say for somebody who quits their job, or maybe they change their type of income they're earning, right? So one mistake I've seen is, for example, somebody who's been a W-2 wage earner, somebody who's worked for a company for years, okay? Yeah. And all of a sudden, they decided to open up their own company, and now they have, what's the 1099, a Schedule C, or they open up a 1065, 1120 partnership. Very tough. Why? Because now I can't use that 2-year income anymore because you changed that type of income you've earned, right? That way, now you have to wait 2 years for me to use that 2 years of that business tax return for me to do the average and qualify you for the following year, right? And so that's very important. Now, a nice little tip is, now let's say you're a self-employed, right? Now, let's say you've been self-employed for years and all of a sudden you decide, hey, you know what, things are working my way, but I want to go and I got a great opportunity to work in Boston and I have this great wage. Does that mean you have to wait 2 years? No, actually, we're fortunate enough to be able to help, and a lot of lenders are able to help, is somebody who can show from the day that they switch from being self-employed to W-2s, showing us at least 6 months of this new income and making sure that it's steady. That way we can keep moving forward and not have to have them wait 2 years. So very important, guys. And next topic I have here, and the next question I have is, are you still seeing crazy bidding wars? I mean, I think we kind of talked about this a little bit, but do you see this? I mean, is it, I think you said 100,000, 60,000 on top maybe 6 or 8 months ago. How do you see the market now? Is it crazy with the bidding?
We're still seeing a little bit of it. It's funny. I just went to see a house and they had 30 offers. I was actually very shocked. But it came from pricing the house very aggressively too. So there is obviously going to be demand. And there is enough buyers, especially at certain price points, like the between $400,000 and $600,000 price point for single family home in the greater Boston area. That's going to be a very big pool of buyers there. So if you list a home that looks great, that is stage right, doesn't have crazy colors, that is, it has a lot of points that people are going to like, you're going to probably have a lot more demand than a little house that is in a main street or in front of a cemetery, right? So it depends on the property itself and the price. I mean, I think if we excel at something, is always educating the buyer and the seller on how to price the property properly, because that's what's going to set the tone for how successful is going to be the sale of the property. So that's super important.
Okay, 100%. I'll share something that kind of ties the last question in with this one over here. There is areas where there's going to be certain bidding war situations. And just know, if you're buying or selling, you're going to get a lot of advice out there from family members, from friends that may not have recent experience. So just know that when you collect that information, just do a lot of research on there, because unless they own property and they're selling in the same neighborhood, in the same street or same area, they probably don't have recent experience, and you're going to hear all sorts of either good or bad stories.
Yeah.
Like, I think this just happened to us, right?
Yeah, it happens all the time.
It happens all the time where it was a really nice couple and the father was there and he kept adding, comments about the properties that he was visiting, like almost like the houses weren't worth that much. And at the end of the day, they got super overbid because they listened to that advice versus like, I'm showing you the comps, the activity, because that's one of the things, right, that we do with the buyer. Like, okay, I'm going to show you the comps of the area, what has sold in the area. So at least they know if a property is listed at a certain price, it might end up closer to $50,000 over just because that's what's sold in this neighborhood, similar condition. So
amazing. And that's awesome. So basically, and I love that, because the next question ties into that exactly, right? It's actually, right now, what are you guys seeing? Is it a buyer's market or is it a seller's market?
I think it's shifted a little bit. I feel like when the interest rates were in the 2-3% range, it was definitely a seller's market for at least 3-4 years strong, especially after COVID. I feel now it's good. Actually, I think it's an opportunity market. It's an amazing opportunity, because now we're shifting where like buyers have more opportunities to actually secure a home and go in there and maybe negotiate what he was saying, the price, but also concessions. Like, this is one thing that we always advise our buyers. Let's say you offer full price, but you ask the seller to pay $15,000 for closing credits. They could go towards lowering your interest rate a little bit, covering all your closing costs. They don't go towards anything. They just go towards the fees that you have to pay to close on the property. So it's really not adding anything to your mortgage or reducing your mortgage payment. So it's important to know those things.
It's a great market. I mean, again, back 6-8 months ago, there was a lot of situations where people were waiving inspections, waiving mortgage contingencies, putting gaps on appraisals in case it came up short, right? That was kind of a crazy seller's market. Now it's an opportunity market that you have the opportunity of asking for those things that you weren't able to do before.
Yeah.
So you should be much more comfortable as a buyer, knowing that, okay, great, I could get an appraisal. I could get an inspection. I feel comfortable with that, right? And sellers, they have the opportunity to sell high, in certain areas. So
You still have an opportunity. That's amazing. So, I mean, I think it's a market of opportunity, like you're saying,
Yeah.
not only for the buyer, but for the seller as well. I mean, I think everybody's winning in a bit, right? Awesome. So next question, and this is awesome because I feel the momentum's going great, guys, and I feel like the answers are just getting better and better. So aside from the price, what other factors can set your offer aside from others?
Great question. So one of the things, I think he mentioned this a little bit earlier. So I think making sure that you find out what the seller needs are. Like that's one thing that we loved. I love calling that listing agent. I want to be your friend. Like some people are afraid and they just text you and they don't really communicate with you.
Okay.
We want to be your friend, your cheerleader. I wanted to sell that home and I'm going to help you put this deal together. So how can I help? So then we try to find out what the seller needs, what dates they want to close. They might not want to close soon. They might want to close later, So if you know that, your offer is going to be better than other offers. And also contingencies. Contingencies are always things that you have to consider. If you're comfortable with waiving your inspection, maybe do the pre-inspection like I mentioned before. This is usually half price for the home inspector because they just do like a quick 1 hour walkthrough. They don't give you a report, but they tell you exactly what's wrong with the house. So it's a great way to be able to feel comfortable waiving that. And then the mortgage and appraisal contingency, which, like he said, I don't think it's a market where you need to waive those things. But if you're competing against a cash offer, then it's almost like, and it's the same price, your offer will probably not be the best. Okay. So just finding out from the listing agent.
I'm just going to give a one-word answer. Communication.
Communication.
That's it.
Communication. Love it.
All right, maybe more. But it's super important. And we always do that, right? Even on the listing side or the buying side, because you're going to be, let's say, married throughout this process for 45 days, 60 days, and you want to make sure that you could communicate with the other side, right? We've been in situations that it's been awful trying to get to the other side. We just had a closing where we couldn't get across the other side. Neither seller, neither agent, neither attorney.
No response.
No response. So it's tough, right? So you want to make sure if you're a buyer out there that you have an agent that communicates, right, with the other side as well, the information that you're trying to get across to the seller, because that's the middle point right there. So that person needs to be a great communicator to the other side to communicate that message that you have. Super powerful, super important.
Wow. Yeah. So communication, guys, if you took something out of that, communication, because it is important. I mean, and I love it. So, and tying into what you said about the inspection piece of it is, what out-of-pocket expense do you guys see, or what does a client or a buyer go through when they're buying a home? I think you kind of touched up on it, the inspection. I mean, is that? The
inspection, right. So you will pay for the home inspection. Also, other fees that you have to pay for is the appraisal of the property. Those are pretty much the two that it's upfront, and then after that, when you close on the property, this is his department.
Yes.
But you pay for, the insurance binder for the year. You pay for your attorney. When you are working with a buyer's agent, you don't pay the agent yourself. The agents get paid by the seller.
Okay.
He pays both buying and selling agents, so you don't have to worry about
So
paying.
just to recap, you're saying a buyer does not have to pay for their real estate agent.
No.
So they can have a professional work for them for free.
Exactly. So if you have your family member that just got licensed, you might want to use a seasoned agent who's actually going to help you get the right property and negotiate the right terms. So that's also part of that's not part of the fee. That's something just so you know. And then the lender, you're going to pay the lender, whatever the lender fees are, and then the attorney. So an attorney is always going to represent you when you're buying a property, which is great. And I think that's it. That's all you have to pay as a...
That's all you have to pay for. Yep.
Unless Sebastian wants to add something there that I forgot.
Unless they want to pay us too.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
That's not allowed.
We'll put it on their tab. The next question, and I love it because it's about renters, right? So let's say, for example, anybody who's out there who's looking to buy a home and they're currently renting, right? And you see how rent continues to go up. What's an advice that you would, want them to know how they can better prepare themselves to be able to become homeowners in the future?
So that's a really good question. I feel like a lot of the renters that we've helped in the past have become homeowners. Because if they have good credit and they're coming up with first, last, security, broker's fee, all those fees that sometimes they have to pay, which is crazy, they could come up with a down payment, right? So we always check in with them like 6 months into the lease and say, hey, how is your job going? Are we still having the same job? Are you there for 2 years? And you pass them on to your lender, to Sebastian, so they could start getting prepared on their financing part. If their credit is not great, we know repair credit companies that could help you get those points up. It could be as easily as paying off a credit card. So you want to be in control of your finances when it comes to your credit and your income, and then just making sure that you're keeping track of that. So then maybe when you're done with your lease, then we could really get you into your first home, which what Will said, it doesn't have to be your dream home. It could be just that first home that is going to get you closer to your dream home. So,
and for a renter, am I looking over here? A renter, pay attention here. If you're renting, you are paying a mortgage. It's just not yours. Somebody else's, right? And if you stop paying that, then guess what happens? You get kicked out. So the same fear that most renters have is, well, what if I can't pay? Well, the same thing happens if you can't pay the rent. You get kicked out. Right? So
either by your bank or by your landlord.
Yeah, I mean,
just
it
pick
depends.
and the other thing is that some renters feel like they're stuck because let's say 6-8 months ago, a buyer couldn't buy. They ended up renting. They got locked into a 12, 24-month contract, whatever it is, lease. Look into that lease and see if you could sublet it, right? Or talk to the landlord and see if there is a way that you could kind of get out of it, right? Communication, that's all it is, and then get comfortable with your numbers. That's it.
Right. Awesome, and I think very important is for everybody who's renting is it doesn't hurt for you to reach out to your local lender. Reach out to me. I mean, ask and find out first where you stand, right? Yeah. Can you buy now, right? And if not, what do you have to do to get yourself prepared to buy in the next year or in 2? But at least you're making that first step, that initiation, and asking, okay, what do I need to do to qualify? What's the minimum credit score? What's the employment history, right? And then more importantly for us is how much can I buy is the common question. How much can I get out there and look? And it's all about the numbers. It's the credit, the employment history, like we keep talking about, the debt to income ratio. Right. And that's where important of understanding your finances and being able to save for that down payment.
Exactly.
Right? So love that topic because it is something that is very important. And I think that somebody who is renting should definitely reach out to a professional and get some advice. Because I'll give you an example, kind of to what we were talking earlier. Is I had a buyer, right, and they were pre-approved, they were looking, and they were actively looking, and all of a sudden they say, okay, Sebastian, you know what? I spoke to somebody and they said it's not the right time to buy. I'm going to get into a mortgage. I'll be locked in. I can't get in, and it's forever. I'm pulling out. I'm getting out. I said, okay, well, you must have spoke to some genius or some guru, right? Must have been somebody, right? Yeah, rocket scientist. So I go, okay, hey, who did you speak to, if you don't mind me asking? Oh, no, I was cutting my haircut this weekend, and my barber was telling me, and I'm like, come on, man.
There's the advice. There's the advice. So you were saying something, and I thought, the advice that you get, right? Just make sure it's the right advice. Free advice is everywhere.
Yes.
Make sure it's the right one.
The right advice. Correct. And I love it because, yes, surround yourself by a solid team who's doing the right thing, who's actively out there helping home buyers and families getting to that home, right? So next question, keep moving this forward, I do have is, how do homeowners, right, know when is a good time to sell?
They call us. And we tell them.
Call it or text or email text.
Text me, call me, I don't know, like smoke signals, whatever you want to do, I'll tell you. No, I'm kidding. There is better times to sell than others, like anything, right? So springtime is usually the best time to sell a property. But I always say it's when you're ready, because you might not be ready in the spring. You might have to make a move sooner than that. So how do we get you the max amount of money out of the sale by listing in a different time, than the springtime? So one of the things we do is we're very careful how we treat, like he was talking about our marketing plan of action. We get the house ready. We build the marketing around the property in terms of, photography. We have a cleaning crew that goes and cleans the property. We pay for it. We invest on the listing prior to even going live. Wow. We take a video, we take a drone, then we go on social media. We promote it for 7 days on Facebook ads. Then obviously we do a staging consultation if the house needs a little bit of help. If it's completely vacant, we always highly suggest to put a little bit of furniture because the spaces tend to look bigger if you have some furniture inside. It's crazy, but we've proven this theory so many times. We take some amazing photos of the outside, we edit it, so we make sure the house is ready to sell. But to your question, the best time is spring, but you can sell anytime.
Right, no, she hit it, nail on the head, where we can't decide that for somebody. Whenever that person is ready, and it's usually a life change or something that's motivating them, maybe they need a bigger house or downsize, it's whenever that person's ready. They don't care about the market. Usually they don't care about the market, right? Somebody that says that, I just want to test the market, well, we really got to find out what's the motivation behind that, right? Because there's so many other factors, but the best time to sell it, we always say it is whenever you're ready.
Okay. Whenever you're ready.
Whenever you're ready.
I love it. Whenever you're ready, guys. So, you know, and actually, so why should a for sale by owner use an agent?
Oh, that's a good one.
It's a great one.
Because they leave so much money on the table when they don't.
Okay.
So I'm going to go on this one because 15 Linden is a property that we just had the open house. They were trying to sell it on their own, and we respect that. We understand what their goal is. They want to make the most amount of money. That's natural. Everybody does. Most people do, right? They were trying for about 4 weeks to do it on their own. They got an offer of, let's say, close to what they were looking for, but not exactly what they were looking for, but just close. And at that point, they went under contract for a week. They fell out. The buyer wasn't qualified, right? Every step of the way, I was in contact with this person. Eventually, they gave us the listing. They took a leap of faith. Nice. And not only did we get it under contract, but we got way above what they were looking for. And we vetted everybody. This is the communication with that agent that we were talking about. And they're happy as can be. This is only one of the examples, right? But I would say for a for sale by owner is just meet with somebody. Yeah. Make sure that they're highly qualified. And then just listen to what the market's doing through the lens of the appraiser, the under agreements, the actives. And again, just you know your number, right? So as long as you could get that number with working with a professional, then wouldn't it make sense just to meet for 15 minutes? I'm available today or tomorrow. When do you want to meet?
I think we specialize in for sale by owners, honestly. Like, we know that they need help. They're raising their hand. I want to sell my house. I'm trying to do my best to save money on the commission, which is understandable, like he said. It's just sometimes they might leave money on the table by trying to do it themselves. It's like he always gives this example. If you're going to a cardiologist and you're going to get surgery, do you want your brother or sister to do it to you, or do you want a professional who's going to do an amazing job, right? And so it's almost the same thing. You want to hire somebody who's going to, first of all, you don't pay that agent until you're completely happy with the sale. So you want to make sure that you know that the person is knowledgeable and that they're going to do a good job, but they also are going to get you the most money on the sale. So.
And that's awesome. So what you're saying is, you're really doing a lot of work in your due diligence before you even put this house on the market. Right. Where maybe a for sale by owner doesn't have all the resources, the time, maybe they have a full-time job, right? That's not their expertise. But you can actually get, let's say, an off-market audience before it gets on the market.
Definitely.
That's powerful. I mean, what you're saying is, work with a team, somebody who has that type of experience to get the most exposure out of that listing and get the most bang for your buck.
Exactly.
And just to finish it here with this one, and it's not only for sale by owners, sellers in general, let's say. We have to make sure that we could deliver on our promises, right? So sometimes when they give us a price that they're looking to sell the property for, there's something that we can't accomplish, and we have to be honest with them. It just happened also in South Boston, where what they were looking to sell for wasn't possible right now at this market, so we called and canceled the appointment. And this could be not only for sale by owners, but everybody else in general. And they respected that. They respected that enough to say, you know what, I'm going to be in contact. If it doesn't work out, we'll meet. And we'll meet at that realistic number.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Amazing. So that's amazing. So that's good. So, I mean, guys, I think it's important if you're in the market to sell your home, connect with a professional, a real estate professional who really does their due diligence, knows what they're talking about, has experience, and has contacts, can potentially get that house sold at a quicker rate if that's what you're looking for, or maybe the most bang for your buck. So awesome. I appreciate the answers, guys. And what can a homeowner do to increase their home value, right? So what's something that before they're getting ready to sell and they reach out to you guys? What's some tips?
Hire her.
Where do I sign? Where do we sign?
Just hire me and you're done. You're done. No, I think it's, getting the house ready. I think it's important. We had a situation, I think with this property that he's talking about, where they were trying to do it on their own. And again, with the paint, like there was paint, different colors, like little things. It's crazy what a little adjustment could really do to really get a better price on the property. Like she had the property on the market and she only had a few showings, and the property was available to everybody to see it, and nobody was really visiting the home. And every time somebody came through, they ran out because it was visually wasn't pleasing. Let's say that. So make sure that like we do a walkthrough of the property. If there is furniture already, we might move, we might declutter, depersonalize. I remember when we sold a property, our own personal property. We have 3 kids, so imagine that.
And a dog.
A dog. And we're 5, and this house was 1,200 square feet, so there was stuff everywhere.
Wow, yeah.
So we made sure that every corner of the house was completely decluttered. We have beautiful photos of our kids in their fridge. We removed all those photos. They came in their cabinet. Nobody needs to see photos of our kids. Those are our kids anyway. So you declutter, you paint, you maybe make it smell really nice. Bake I used to see this in the commercials. Bake a pie or something, or bake cookies, leave cookies out for the buyers. Just little things like that would really help you enhance the experience for those buyers when they come through.
This is a Super Bowl for a seller. You only get it once. You must get it right the first time, because first impressions everything. And this is a game of inches. So everything adds up. And I was going through this with somebody at the office, a great guy, Sam, he's an agent also, where, the smallest details, if we know that the majority of decision makers are females, let's say, we want to make sure to highlight those things online first to get them to the property. And doing the small things like painting or curb appeal, all that stuff, adds up for them wanting to go to the property. And then once they're there, the experience there is a whole different set of opportunities for us to showcase the property itself.
Amazing. So I love that analogy, Super Bowl. So you only get one chance to put that house in the market. I love it. So prepare yourself like you're going to go to Super Bowl if you're selling.
Yeah.
If you're unlucky and you chose the wrong agent, you're going to get another chance because you're going to expire, and that's a whole
You go to the Pro Bowl and there's nothing. But that's awesome. So, and kind of going off of that, are there benefits? Okay, so now we're talking about off-market properties, right? Are there benefits of selling a property off-market?
There is benefits, obviously. Like I feel like if you are able to get to the point where the number that you're willing to sell it, and you don't have to go through open houses and people walking through the house, like we had a few situations. We always recommend going live, honestly. That's going to be my first advice first. But if you don't feel comfortable, somebody's sick or something like that, you could always market off market. Like we could do the cold calling, circle prospecting. We could do the marketing that we do ahead of time. And then we just do something off market, more like not like in social, like on social media, but not like MLS and those sites.
Very, very situational. So let's say it's hard for somebody to understand why they would do an off market. But let's give you this example where we're selling an East Boston house right now, 3-family house, where there's tenants on every floor. And it's just not a great situation to have an open house because we don't want 70 buyers to come through. We just want a very small number of qualified, vetted, highly motivated investors to come through this one property. So let's keep it small. If we go live on MLS, everybody's going to show up in buses, right? So in that case, we don't want to go live. The seller didn't want to go live, right? We want to keep it off market. But in other cases, most of the times you're not going to know what the true value of the home is or what it could bring unless you kind of go live. Right? We always go live, even our personal properties.
Yeah. Okay.
The nice thing about showing the property, we just talked about this recently on another video, where the nice thing about showing the property before the open house, even if you're not accepting an offer, is you get to kind of get feedback from the showings leading up to the Super Bowl, let's say.
Okay.
So you're collecting data from those buyers that weren't interested, whatever it was, and you could course correct before the Super Bowl. Make those adjustments here and there, right?
Amazing. Amazing. So, and I think the topic, like you said, is the tenants, because that can be tough. If you're showing the house every day or people are wanting to show the house every day, you kind of have to also work around your tenants.
Right.
Right,
Or
that
even COVID, right? I mean, it's still relevant, and people sometimes they don't want that big circus show, right?
That's
we
right.
love circuses, but
Oh yeah, no, el circo. So, and we're winding down because I know we've hit you with a lot of questions, and I appreciate all the knowledge you guys are sharing because this is valuable. So everybody's taking it in, and you're all taking notes. I know you guys are. But the next question is, right, if a buyer is looking to purchase a condo, what should they consider before buying?
good. So I think let's say when you're in a smaller budget and you have to focus on just buying a condo, which is great. It's not your forever home. You're gonna sell it and buy a single family home later. I think the most important thing is making sure that the HOA, the Homeowners Association, is strong. That there is not a bunch of people who owe their monthly payments, that there is meeting minutes done every year. If you could get a copy of the meeting minutes to see what they're planning to do, so there is not any crazy pending assessments coming in the next few years, because that's going to affect you directly, where you're going to have to come out of pocket with some expense that they planned 3 months ago and you weren't even the owner then. That's going to be your responsibility. So it's very important to review your meeting minutes, assessment if there is any reserves, because if anything comes up, you want to make sure there's a healthy reserve fund.
Okay.
So those are all things that an agent could help you gather. Like I always make an offer contingent upon reviewing condo docs with the attorney.
Very good.
So they could really pull all the information. With the lending side, you want to make sure that if you're FHA, especially that property is approved, it's been approved by
FHA
FHA,
approved. Yep.
because sometimes it's very tricky with FHA. So you want to make sure that that's clean, and that is mostly owner occupied. That's another thing, because if you have mostly renters sometimes don't take care of their outside and the areas and the community itself. So you want to make sure that it's at least 51% of more owner occupied.
Yeah, that's basically it. I mean, there's a management in most cases that takes care of the complex and oversees everything, right? So that management piece is super important, like she's saying. And the association, the whole community is tied to a monthly fee to maintain that property. So what does that monthly fee include, right? Most of it just includes the usual, which is water, sewer, but sometimes they include heat. So for a renter looking at condos, if they think it's too high, then maybe the heat is included. So you could start looking at the numbers right there. But yeah, the association is huge.
And that's a very good point, because so think about that. What you said, there's an extra cost per month for you to have this condo association maintain the condo neighborhood, right? So yes, like you said, cutting the grass, the snow removal, the salt, all that good stuff. But for me as a lender, and you touched up on it, Veronica, about an FHA, is if you're pre-approved for an FHA, you have to make sure you're working with your realtor and your lender, so you understand that, hey, maybe this condo is not FHA approved. So a lot of buyers get upset and they say, well, you told me I qualify for this amount. Why can't I buy this condo? Well, it's all about preparing everybody and understanding is, okay, if this condo isn't FHA approved, and if we can't do an on-spot approval, then there's another way of purchasing it with a conventional loan, right? But another big mistake is, for example, people say, well, I'm qualified for this amount, right? But this is a condo. Now, the way we pre-approve somebody, it's pretty neat, because yes, the purchase price is very important. We always look so that way you guys have a tool and know where to look at the range. But more importantly, the way we look at it is, what's the monthly affordability, right? What's that debt to income ratio, the maximum amount that you can afford per month? There's a certain percentage, right? And it depends on which loan program you're going to be able to qualify for to be able to buy, right? So think about this. If you have a monthly payment of $3,000, and that's the maximum you can qualify for out of single family, and all of a sudden now you're adding a $350 condo fee on top of that. You say, Sebastian, but it's the same purchase price. You told me I can qualify for that. No, there's a different monthly cost to this property.
Right.
Condos can be more expensive. That way, please work with a professional so you understand if you can purchase a condo or what you need to do in order to get into a condo.
That's right.
So do you recommend buyers offer the full loan amount? Why or why not?
So are we talking about the pre-approval amount, like the full pre-approval amount?
Yeah, so for example, let's say I say, hey, this person's eligible to purchase at $650,000.
It comes down again to the buyers, how much can they really afford? Because, one thing that I like to do with my buyers, and let's say if they're looking at a property between 6 and 7, I want our lender to run numbers at 6, 625, 650, 675, 7, right? Like the different scenarios, so at least 6 650, and 7, because then they really know like if it's really affordable to them. Also, like there's certain neighborhoods they're gonna have better taxes. So, like for example, Peabody, where we live, the tax rate is lower than Lynn, which is like the town next door. So you want to make sure that you're constantly like checking in with your lender to make sure that if you're gonna go up to the max that you're going, then maybe we look at a property that doesn't have taxes so high. So it's like for example, if you live in East Boston, you have a tax exception that you could get lower taxes. So, you know, that's an opportunity that you could look into as well. So, depends, yeah, there you go.
There you go, next
He's
question.
gonna skip this one.
Exactly what she said.
But no, I think to go off of what you said, I mean, let's say that's very important because there is different costs to each property, and especially
Right.
different towns and cities. So you could be, let's say, qualified for 650, and you think confidently, hey, I have this property at 650 in Lynn, 650 in Marlboro, right?
Right.
But I qualify in Marlboro, but I don't qualify in Lynn.
Right.
Why? Right? You told me this purchase price. Why?
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's all about the monthly affordability. It's how much of a monthly payment you can afford in relation to your income.
Right.
So my job is to try to extract as much income as I can that we can show on paper, right? But at the end of the day, it's your decision to decide how much you want to pay per month. Right?
Exactly.
Tell you the maximum, but please sit down, understand the number. So you're not calling us to want to sell your house because you have to. It's because you want to move to the next property and continue to grow financially.
Exactly.
Right. So, you know, kind of the last question I have here, taxes. What don't buyers know about property real estate taxes?
Well, she just hit it on the certain towns have that exception that they could reduce the taxes down 20, 30%, 40%. So certain towns, you just want to make sure that, okay, can I qualify for that? What do I need to do?
And another thing is like assessment, right? So people tend to think like assessment is the same as value, the market value of the property. So let's say this has happened to a lot of people. Let's say in 2019, the market value was lower than what it is right now. So every year, the town will send out assessors to go and assess the town. And based on that assessment, they're going to charge you taxes. So let's say it's like a certain amount times whatever the tax rate is for the town. So you almost want to, don't buy the nicer house on the street if you don't have to, because then the taxes are going to go up on that street and it's going to affect you directly. Because every year the tax that you have is going to go up a little bit. So just, you know, knowing those little things, like I know by head, like there was a few times they have really high taxes. So try to maybe stay in a town that doesn't have as much as high taxes as some of them. So we could help you with that, like determine what towns are better.
Every town is different.
Yeah.
Every town is different. With the discount of the taxes, in most cases, it's not automatic. I remember meeting with a seller in Malden that he was living there for maybe 6 years, 7 years, never went to City Hall, so throughout his ownership, he never got the discount. Right, so that's money lost out the window.
So ask. I mean, work with somebody who can show you that, and you know.
Exactly.
Wow. So, you know, after all these questions, there's so much information. I appreciate it. I mean, this is awesome, guys. You know, and you guys, I know you guys are tuning in. I know you guys are taking all this in. But before we let all you beautiful people go, you know, what's kind of the last piece of knowledge, advice, suggestions that you want to leave our listeners with? But more importantly, what's the best way for us to be able to reach out to you guys?
Well, you could call us, and you could reach us via social media. Like I said, Veronica Lujan, and William Vaquerano. We're on social media. The last piece of advice is build a team. You know, when you're buying or selling a home, this is super, super important. It's the biggest investment of your life. Like, you know, don't mind me. It's not a car. It's not a motorcycle. It's your house. So make sure that you're working with the right professionals that are going to guide you through the process. Because it could be, you know, a very enjoyable journey, or it could be a nightmare. So you want to make sure that you interview the agent, you interview your lender, your attorney, your home inspector, that you're prepared. So when that time comes, that you're like, okay, I have my A1 team to go through this.
100%. And pay attention to where the advice is coming from, right? They say that you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. If you're hanging out with your barber and he doesn't have any properties and you're getting advice for them, it's the wrong crowd to be hanging out with, right? So if you're a buyer, talk to buyers. Hang out with real estate agents. Go to classes, courses, sign up, getting all the information. Eventually, you're going to start to feel like you own a property already. Or if you're a seller, make sure that you meet with appraisers, with real estate agents, or sellers that sold recently in the area. Communicate, right? Don't stay on an island. Make sure that you're getting the right advice.
Awesome. And again, what's the best way for everybody to reach out to you guys, please?
Well, come to the house. I mean, we're local.
Phone number, email, tell us.
Our phone numbers, 617-842-2088.
That's it.
And guys, thank you guys so much for coming. Honestly, it's been a special show, full of knowledge, so thank you guys. I look forward to having you guys here again, right? And everybody listening, you heard it here first, right? So thank you guys for tuning in. Please like it, share it, subscribe it, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much.